This is Analog Spectrum. In this episode, blah, 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 one guy says something kind of witty, some laughs, mostly random bullshit. You'll probably hear something presented as fact that you're 99% sure was completely made up. And suddenly, you realize you wasted about 45 minutes.
I hit send, Tony, this time. I hit send.
Doug just hit send. Hey, everybody. This is Analog Spectrum. Say hi to Doug and Drew. Doug and Drew, say hi to everybody. There we go. So what the hell is that, Doug? So
it's Shaun the Sheep, baby.
Doug is a furry. I thought he'd let it out of the bag. So, but anyway, so welcome back to another episode. We're recording a few in a row. If you can't tell by, we're all wearing the same outfits multiple times. So we do. This isn't Charlie Brown, folks. We have changed
we're dudes.
clothes.
That happens a lot, anyways. Yeah,
it's like
that's right.
But my fourth day wearing this T-shirt.
As I discussed in a podcast, I think the last podcast, we're leaning away from movies. We came up with some topics here, and I think this is a pretty good one. We did also talk about The Matrix, which is a movie, but we talked about AI, and we kind of wanted to go back and revisit AI because Doug asked me one time, have you used AI? And I have, okay, and I have thoughts on that. Also, pretty much any picture you see in the podcast, if you're looking at the podcast right now, I'll put it over in the corner of the three robots doing a podcast. AI did that. Okay, that is an AI artwork that all I had to do was put in a prompt saying three robots doing a podcast in Pixar style, and that is what it spit out. Pretty impressive, really. You know, so AI art.
Nice job, Midjourney. Nice job.
Midjourney doesn't have a copyright. I can put it anywhere I want, and yeah. So,
That's right.
but I've used it, and I'll definitely have my opinion on it, and I do want to talk about it. Hopefully, it'll be entertaining and it won't be too dark. But I sent Doug and Andrew a prompt. Now we're not going to read the stories because they're kind of long, but I just said, hey, put this prompt into an AI, and of course there's Chat GPT, which is the big one right now. Microsoft now has an AI that's built into their search engine in their browser, and I said use your AI of choice. And just put in a request to maybe generate a story based on certain parameters, and the prompts are real simple, like develop a story about an individual who's not a spy, but his girlfriend gets kidnapped in a post-apocalyptic world, maybe in a science fiction genre, and asked him what it spit out. So anyway, I don't want to just blather away. Andrew, you've used it before. What are your thoughts on the sudden shift? I mean, it's a pretty big shift.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think? What pluses, minuses?
Yeah. So I think I was I'm not going to say one of the first people ever, but probably within the week that Chat GPT went public and went open for people to use, I think I used it within that first week. I started using it. I'm constantly on the internet, on YouTube and all the rest of it. So I started seeing a lot of people that I follow on YouTube raving about this Chat GPT thing. And I was like, okay, let me go check it out. And I'm in college right now, finishing up my degree. So I was like, oh, let me see what it can do and all this kind of stuff. And I love it, man. It's really good. It's for a lot of things. But obviously with everything comes pros and cons, right? So, but yeah, overall, I'm a fan so far in its current phase as well, in its current state.
Now, I teach college students. What have you? And again, you can only remember we have an audience of 7. What have you used ChatGPT for? Have you used it for?
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, say whatever. Yeah, say whatever you want. But I mean, I don't. But
yeah,
have
sure.
you used it for assignments or anything like that?
Oh, 100%. So, okay. But here's the thing: is I won't, and if you use it enough, you'll understand quite easily why. But I won't put in a prompt for an assignment and then just copy and paste and submit it. Usually the way I like to use it is in chunks or snippets. So for example, if I have to write a 10-page paper on something, I might ask it to write me an intro for this paper and then I'll use that intro that the Chat GPT gave me, and I'll most of the time even I'll do most of the work myself, but I'll use that as like a launch point. So some like the hardest part of any paper or any story is starting it, right? You got to figure out what to
Hmm.
say at the beginning. So I'll write, hey, I'm trying to write a story on, or I'm trying to write a paper on deodorant or whatever, and then write me an intro for hitting through these 3 points that I'm going to hit in the main paper.
It was a dark and
Yeah.
stormy night.
Exactly. And then also it'll spit something out, and then from there, you can take a sentence from here, take a sentence from there, and then string the rest of it together. So I like it as long as I feel like as long as you use it. What's the word? I don't even know. As long as you
Well,
use it
yeah, with a
properly, I guess.
a certain
Um,
amount of prudence. I mean, you have to use a certain amount. And it's interesting because I've used it in things that you're saying. That it speaks to me. You have to have. Well, I know what you're trying to say as far as the word goes. Maybe we should fucking ask Chat GTP, but yeah, you want to use it with a certain amount of what is it? Where you want there's a certain amount of care.
Responsibility,
Yeah, responsibility. You know, uh, but things that you're saying.
discretion.
Yes, discretion is another great one. So, but
yeah, I think that's the
equanimity
word.
from the nice guys. You want to use it with some
Okay.
equanimity, but
Oh yeah. Equanimity, yes.
but but I will tell you, like everything you're saying, I that's been my experience. And I can't remember what we talked about during the Matrix podcast, but one of my friends introduced it to me, and I do write. I write for that's part of my job is I write papers. I mean, I actually write things that have to be published, right? And right when it gets introduced to me, I'm thinking I'm never going to use this in a paper. Okay, I'm not right. Because it needs to be my work. But something you just said is
Mhm.
exactly what I run into, which is like I write a sentence, and anybody that advises on how to write, they'll always tell you just write, and just get it on paper, and then you can go back afterwards and edit. That is a very challenging thing to do, but you can write garbage. And people, I'm not shitting you. You could put garbage into Chat GTP because I have, okay, like stuff I would never put in an email, never submit. I had to write an email not long ago, and I know I was telling Doug about this. I may have already talked about it in a podcast, but I had to like write an email, and I was kind of like, "All right," and it's funny because the first time you do it, you're like, it's not gonna do anything, right? And you're like, "Okay, I need to
Blows your
write an
mind.
email, and I need to tell this guy what he's doing. It ain't good. You can even use ain't. It ain't good. I need him to stop being stupid. Uh, I need him to be smart. I need him to start doing good stuff." And if he doesn't start doing good stuff, there's going to be problems. Enter, and all of a sudden, ChatGPT will spit something out, and you're like, "Damn, that's pretty good," But to your point, you definitely do it in blocks. And the other thing is that you would be a fool if you just took what it spit out and dropped it into an email or a paper, because it does mess
Yes.
up. It
Yeah.
does say things like, I had to write a letter to my dean,
Hmm.
and and I'm sure he's not listening, but if he was, I was writing a letter to him, and I think in the email it said something like, "I expect immediate follow up, and I want you to be in touch with me every 15 minutes, and if you're not, I'm going to be," And I'm thinking, well, I'm not saying it to my freaking boss. That's stupid, So you
Yeah.
trim all that out,
Mm-hmm.
and you move, and but I guess my concern is that, where does Tony stop, and where does Chat GP start, and vice versa? When is it my work, and when is it just I'm just leaning too hard on Chat GTP, because to my point, I did say I'm never going to use it in any publication. Well, that lasted like an hour. Okay, I mean, because I had like one paper, I wrote, and there was this transitional sentence or transitional paragraph, and I was like, damn it, that thing doesn't make any goddamn sense. I wrote it, I don't know what it even means. I wrote it like 2 months ago. What was I trying to say? And it took me a little while to get my brain wrapped around it. I cut and pasted that exact paragraph into Chat GTP or Bing or something, and I even said, "Make this make sense." And damned if it didn't do it. You know what I mean? Again, was it perfect? No,
Yep.
but it bent it in a way where I was like,
Gave you the
I
starting block.
it gave me a starting point. Yep. So, so yeah,
Yep.
I don't know, and I have other thoughts, but I'm hogging the mic. What do you think, Doug?
Um, well, I think that it is anything language based is going to be really good at. So even the cartoon thing that you came up with in Midjourney, that's still a language based system, right?
Mhm.
And so the better you are with language, the better results I think you're going to be able to get. So I think seems to me like to prep for this podcast, one of the things we did is Tony wrote a prompt, and then he put that in and got a story out, and then he sent that prompt to us, and I put the exact same prompt in, and we compared the stories, and they're pretty darn close. I mean, a lot of the language is exactly the same. I
Right.
think it changed the names of the characters, and it changed the inciting incident, and a couple of things like that. But
And if you're watching, I'll put the
you can
prompt
say,
that I gave them right down here someplace, like here. And if you're listening, I'll
mm,
put it in
mm.
the description.
Right. And then so I found it to be interesting, and it's if you oh geez, hello cat. If you stretch this thing out, you follow the logic out, then of course you can see it getting dangerous. That we've been writing stories and making movies about this very thing for a long time, hence Terminator and all the rest of them. But I think for the average schmuck like us, it's inevitable. It's coming. Like it, don't like it, whatever. So it
It's
would
here.
probably behoove the average schmuck to at least know something about it and use it enough to not be totally blind. And that's kind of where I'm sitting. But I will say, on the negative side, I didn't like the fact that when I went to sign up, I had to give them my email and I had to give them my phone number. Not like they don't probably can't get it anyways, right?
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna be super defensive about it, but
No,
it,
I'm,
it,
I'm
it
with you on
just
that too.
makes me feel creepy that you're giving the smartest thing in the world to your personal details.
Well, and it's like you give it your personal details, but then you also type in exactly what you're thinking
Mm,
to make a prompt.
yeah,
I don't
and
like that part of it. It's
yeah,
like,
Right.
yeah,
yeah, and
Well,
you gave it your birthday as well, so it's like,
well, you can
yeah.
send me a gift. It's all right.
no, you know what? Then that's good. I didn't think of that. But
That's what it's
the
doing.
thing
Sending
that
you a
bugged
gift.
me about the birthday, yeah, it's drafting you a gift right now. Um, So, but the thing that I thought about with the birthday is the only time I ever have to really give my birthday is you're buying beer, or the medical world, right? That's you always that's how they find your records and stuff is through your birthday. And I'm like, why? And you hear all this conspiracy crap. Why the hell is somebody trying to control our medical records? You hear about Bill Gates buying up farmland and he's trying to control the food. And I don't know. It's weird to think about all that big stuff. But at the end of the day, we go on there and have this thing write us stupid stories about a guy who carries a Billy Joel statue in his pocket. So, um, so
Is that what
I don't.
happened in your story?
Well, I put in a prompt after mine and Tony's. I thought, well, let me put in something, change a few things, and so I changed his prompt first to say same story, but do it in the slapstick comedy style, and it failed miserably. He
Really?
just
Mhm.
used the word slapstick a few times, and it said that he was laughing throughout the story. It didn't actually say anything funny.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I changed the
Yeah.
prompt and told me a story about a guy who, eats raw mushrooms and carries a Billy Joel statue in his pocket and quotes his music. And so it came up. This story wasn't too bad.
Oh,
Um, but you could see like what it really does is it symbolically captures um, cliches essentially over and over again, and it applies them properly. It puts
mhm,
them in the right place and contextually puts them correctly,
mhm.
which is what you guys are talking about. You get your nugget of an idea, um, but yeah, it's this they compress it compresses time, which is a storytelling trick, of course. But then the other thing that it does is it generalizes a lot of detail, and then it drops in one or two details. And then it generalizes a lot of detail, and then it drops one or two in.
Mhm.
So again, it's early days.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's only
Well,
soon
gonna
that
get
thing's
better.
gonna. Yeah.
yeah, it's clearly artificial intelligence. It's
Yes.
I
Yes.
think I
Yeah.
think that I think what was interesting. I was scanning your story and my story, and it likes the name Jack and Jake. It for some reason that uses that one a lot,
Yeah.
and but
Yeah.
Jack
but it,
and
it
Jill.
I
Yeah, for the
I
male,
put the
for
Billy
the
Joel
hero.
thing in there, especially
Yeah,
with the quotes, because I wanted to see if it was really gonna look up a Billy Joel song and like quote some of the lyrics as part of the story, and it doesn't. All it did was say like, the main character liked to quote Billy Joel, and it made him feel this way and feel that way, which I'm assuming it probably got from some reviews at some point of a Billy Joel song somewhere on the
right.
internet still.
Sure.
Um, but so I was going to see if it would quote a Billy Joel song in contextually in this guy's conversations, and it didn't do that.
Well, it's interesting because it's like it definitely we're seeing something at the very beginning, so I have no doubt that it will learn, and it'll
Hmm.
get better at what it's doing, and
Yes.
that's concerning, right? That it's again,
Yeah. Well, because how many millions of people are new users are signing on every single day, and the more people do that, the more
sure,
it learns because they
right,
ask in different ways and they use different language. And
right.
once again, being a language program,
It it
it's
is
gonna
a
learn
war
quick.
games it is a war games Terminator situation. It'll get to the point where it's like, oh, I got this now, and
Yeah.
that's because that's beside the whole. I don't want to cheat on an exam. I don't want to cheat on a paper. That's like, when does it? Is this
Right.
thing going to be smarter than me? And which it very well could be.
Mm.
Like I must have said a
Like it
dozen times
already
in the
is
last.
probably in some
Yeah,
way.
probably so. In
In
some
some
ways, yeah,
ways. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's not. It doesn't have. It has no cognition, but it sure can fake it pretty
Mm.
good. I did notice, like in the stories, it did
Yeah.
arc the guy. We always talk about wanting to have a story arc, and like in the story I did,
Hmm.
it gave the guy a pretty clear arc, and which
Mm.
and even though once again probably not to put it out there too much, but right now there's a writing strike going on, and most writers can't even write a good arc. This thing knocked it out in
Yeah. No.
and 648
Yeah.
words,
Well,
man.
that's what I was thinking. Like, I would totally be a sketch right now if I was in Hollywood. I'd just chat GTP the hell out of some stories. And again, just the
Right.
ideas that this came up with the
Yeah.
silly prompt we had. I mean, we could expand off of that in no time flat, man, and come
Sure.
up with really cool stories.
Well, into Drew's strategy,
Some months.
which I dropped too, is you don't tell it to write a whole story, you tell it to write a part of a
Mm.
chapter,
Chunk it.
and then you build on
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Chunk it.
Yeah, so,
My prompt basically wrote I would say like the first chapter of like a longer like a book or something like that.
Mm.
I put like it's a hitman's like first ever day on the job. It's in England in the 1920s, and he has to kill the king, or his whole family's gonna die, or something like that.
right.
And the ending to my story, or the ending to that prompt, has him actually failing to kill the monarch. So his family is gonna be killed at some point. But
But they leave you the cliffhanger.
yeah, he gets away from the royal guards or whatever. And literally the last sentence says, "In the heart of 1920s England, a game of cat and mouse has just begun." That's like the perfect setup for a
Yes. That's
longer story.
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt, man. That's very what's his name from Key West? The guy with the white beard.
Who is that?
Gandalf.
Hemingway. It's very
Oh, God,
Hemingway-ish.
yeah. Yeah, mine.
That the ending to that story.
Yeah, yeah. Mine did kind of a very similar thing because uh, and again, it's he rescues in my story. He gets pulled into the world of espionage, right? And the last line is that because they're basically telling each other that they love each other, the characters, and again, off this very lame
Mm-hmm.
prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, he didn't know where this was going or what they would do next. All he knew is that he had saved his girl from a fate worse than death. He had become a spy for love. I don't know what the fuck that means, but hey,
That's cheesy.
it's not bad,
But I mean,
I
That was good.
even if you turn that line all by itself just into a cartoon or something, right? Like
yeah,
he became a spy for love. That's like that idea is a kernel that you could riff off of for a long time.
Isn't that
yes,
Austin
yes,
Powers?
yes. I know
Yeah, the
exactly.
spy who's
It should be a
shagging.
James Bond movie. So, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Yeah. So
but
the last, let me give you the last line in this one. So this is the slapstick one, and he was an
mm,
auto mechanic who had to save his girlfriend from. This is Tony's prompt from organ harvesting,
mm.
and so the last paragraph here's a couple lines is, and so with a wrench in hand and a slapstick sense of humor, Bob, the unassuming auto mechanic, turned unlikely secret agent, and Lucy, his fearless girlfriend, set off into a world of uncertainty, ready to embrace the comedic side of life in the face of impending doom. So
Not great.
again, it's very romantic, in its
Right.
language.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
But it is interesting.
it is interesting. Like I said, I'm sort of reading it as you were talking, and I get that whole like, you gave it slapstick, and it's like I don't know how to define slapstick. You know. So
Yeah, I just have to.
Sorry, child
well,
abduction.
Yeah.
hey,
You guys
mine will
probably all
probably go
got
off in
it as
about
well.
2 seconds. So, but
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, it's I don't know. You know what I mean? It makes me wonder. Hey, there's mine, child abduction. So,
There's yours.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Like, man,
But yeah,
like
so on the lighter side, it's a fun to play with.
right.
If you write a lot, maybe you can use it. At this point, again, I think its realm is language, so it can be useful in those terms. I remember the story you told about your email, and
Mhm.
I had to write an email today that I was trying to say goodbye to somebody. Basically, I got fired from a gig,
Right.
and it wasn't a nasty thing. He's like he chose to got somebody else to do his job, and that's the world of the creative, right? But
Hmm. This
so I
business.
was just trying to tell him like, hey, thanks, man. It's been good working with you and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't want it to sound like so cheesy and hokey and whatever. And I thought about dropping it in. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I felt too creepy about it because then it felt ungenuine. So
Yeah.
so
You
I
should,
just wrote it in its typical Doug style and left it. So,
I don't know. Part
but
of
I
me,
considered it.
I was kind of hoping you would have, because I would have loved to get your thoughts, man. Like I would have spit out. Like I said,
Yeah.
I like,
Next email I send to you, here's a game. Next email I send to you, I'm gonna chat GTP something and I'm gonna drop it in. I'm gonna send you like a 4 or 5 paragraph email about we'll talk about the podcast and I'll whatever we'll make some plans for barbecuing or something. I'm gonna drop some chat and see if you can find it.
yep. Okay. Well, I
It's
will
like
tell
Where's
you.
Waldo in language.
I if you do not edit it, I probably could find it. Like I said, it just does
Yeah,
things. You're
you'll be
kind of
able to
like that's
spot
not
it quick.
natural. And again, it's not off the rails,
Yeah,
but I have to edit everything because it doesn't sound like me. I do want things to sound like me. Like
yeah,
but
yeah.
like I don't start my emails like tally ho. Hope hope the raindrops don't fall on your head. It's like I don't know what the fuck. No, I'm not gonna write that. But there is a lot of times like where I'm at my desk and I'm thinking I got to get this email out, and it's not like I said, it's not going up to the president of the university or something like that though. But there are going to be people on that email that are like going to scrutinize I'm concerned they will, and so I just bang it out real quick. And I drop it in there, and it gets me 80% there, and of course my word processor, my word, my word and all that has Grammarly hooked to it, so it immediately Grammarly starts basically knocking even more dense out, and within about an email that would have taken me 45 minutes to write is written in 15 minutes, and it's a huge time saver. You know,
It
but
is not.
but
Mm.
I was thinking today though, and have you guys been keeping up at all with the Apple? What is it? The Apple Vision Pros coming out? Have you heard anything about that? That's scary.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I
it's
heard
like
about it, but yeah, I
yeah.
don't know any details.
Well, and again, there's this. I always like to think that there is there's a technology line that I will not cross. Going back to when Doug and I were in Key West together, we used to talk about how, hey, as soon as we can and of course, it's called a neural link now, but as soon as we can plug a cable into our dumbass brains, hook in, and basically sit in a chair and drool all day while we're playing video games, sign my ass up, right? So we used to joke around about that. Now I'm kind of like, no, fuck that, no, no. I like to think
Yeah,
there's
now
a
we've seen the Matrix. Like, I don't
yeah,
know, man. Yeah,
but it
Sketchy.
was weird. We were talking about that stuff in like 1992, but I like to think there is a line that I will not cross, right? Like
mm,
but that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But I can't really say that because I can't see the line. Like I think like now there's this push
mm,
where people of Drew's generation are going to flip phones because they're being they can really realize they're being they're constantly on their phones and whatnot. And these devices were supposed to bring us
mm,
happiness, but they bring us exactly the opposite. They
mm.
make us more miserable.
Yeah.
And I look at
Yeah.
this Apple Vision Pro, which is terrifying to me because it's that one step closer to a neural link. And I don't know. And of course, I kind of draw the maybe
Is
that's
it
where my line
augmented
is. I don't know.
reality? Is that what it is?
Yeah, augment. It's
Yeah,
both
it's
virtual and
definitely
augmenting.
AR.
Augmenting. Yeah, so
Yeah.
augmented. Yeah, both. But
It's I watched a little. I watched some dude do a little review on it. He's like a tech reviewer on YouTube, and
Sure.
he had a lot of good things to say, but also some less than good things to say as well.
Right.
Um, like he could envision a future where, instead of, so it can record in 3D. And so if you have a Vision Pro and I have a Vision Pro and I'm across the world, you can record something. So let's say you're at your friend's birthday party or our
Yeah.
friend's birthday party and I can't be there. You can record what's going on and I can be a part of the birthday party. And he was like, that's cool tech, but he can see it where, like parents, for example, use that in lieu of actually spending time with their kids and stuff like that. So
Sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
supposed to allow you to like relive
tricky,
memories and all that kind of stuff because you're basically recording every bit
right?
of a memory. Uh, and I also watched a review
It's
on
like
it. The
Black
individual
Mirror,
that
man.
what's that?
It's like it's getting towards Black Mirror.
Black
Yeah.
Mirror, yeah.
Well, the individual I saw talking about this was even talking about how anything that makes and I'm paraphrasing, anything that makes boatloads of money solves a problem. You know what I mean? Like if you think like Amazon's a prime example. I mean, it solved massive problems. You don't have to go to
Yep.
the store. It's
Mhm.
cheap. Gets delivered directly to your
Mhm.
house. They make trillions of dollars, right? Well, this Apple Pro Vision Pro, what problem is it's solving exactly? And
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
the other thing about like Apple, and I will tell you straight up, man, no bones about it. I hope this thing flops bigger than shit, okay? Because I'm not a fan of Apple. I don't think Apple has a. I think out of all the companies out there that do not have our best interest at heart, I put Apple at the top of that list, okay? I mean, they basically have slaves in China making their shit. That's the damn truth, okay? And they're all
Go, Drew,
about,
go.
yeah. So go. They're all about putting pride. No, you go back at me if you tell me what you think. They
No,
don't.
Drew, Andrew and I just had this conversation yesterday.
We had the and I'm not disagreeing with you, but so does your Samsung phone, so does your whatever
Oh,
phone. They
wait a
all
second
use
now.
child
Wait a
labor,
second now. Samsung's Korea, bro. Samsung's Korea. Okay. Yes.
Okay,
It's
okay.
made in Korea.
Does it
Not
have
North
any
Korea either.
does the battery have any type of cobalt in it? Does the battery use cobalt? Because if it's a lithium ion battery, it has cobalt in it, and there's some kid in Africa down in a fucking cobalt
No
mine
doubt.
mining
Hey
that
man,
cobalt for your
you
phone.
got you gotta draw the line someplace. You have to, man. I'm just saying that the chips made in Taiwan and the phones made in Korea. Yeah, you're right. The diamonds and cobalt and all that kind of stuff. But if you're gonna have to put a percentage on it, and like not only that though, I mean, like I said, it just drives me crazy that Apple like slaps pride flags on everything except in Saudi Arabia, except in China, because they know they'll blow their market up, right? I mean, they're virtue signaling to people that can give a shit, and so it's just so disingenuous. So with that said, I guess the point I'm trying to make, Drew, do you have an Apple phone? Are you an Apple guy? I don't know. No, you're a PC guy.
I I'm I don't, yeah, I don't consider myself an Apple guy as far as,
Yeah,
but their phones and their like I have an Apple Watch and the AirPods and all that shit.
right.
So I like their stuff. Their stuff works really
Yeah,
nice,
The- it,
and it's
it,
built nice as well. It feels good in your hands.
it,
But yeah, I wouldn't. I'm
uh,
not sticking up for any corporation for that matter. They
yeah,
can all
I hear
go
you.
burn
I
in
hear you.
hell if you ask me. But
Well, well, again, I totally, and again, I think honestly, I know I've said this to Doug a bunch. I think we're pretty much on the same page. I don't disagree with you. I think you basically have to basically choose what battle you want to fight when it comes to this stuff. Like I said, I look at like Apple probably has stepped further over the line than most people that I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm to the point where they've done things that really bother me. And Samsung, like I said, I know they're a Korean company. I'm okay with South Korea. I'm totally fine with that. But again, my issue with Apple is I don't think they have our best interest at heart. They don't. You know what I mean? So these
Yeah,
Vision
I feel the same way
Pros,
about Google as well.
yes,
yep,
I,
Google's is just
I,
the
I
same. Yep,
big time. I mean, we are like I've
and
said and
Microsoft.
heard before.
Hold on.
Uh, if you think you're getting something for free, you're the product. So
Yep.
but
Yep.
in Google,
It's funny
Go-
you talked about the problem solving issue. I feel the same way about Meta. Zuckerberg
yeah,
is pushing this Meta thing, and it's interesting because Nvidia is doing something similar, but they're taking an approach that steers towards business. So what Zuckerberg is trying to do is, you know, rainbows and unicorns, and we're all going to go in these rooms and hang out together and be friends and have little cartoons of ourselves, little avatars running around, right? I mean, that's what he's pitching, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yes,
not too far from that, something like that, right?
yeah.
But you
When
know,
the creepy guy pitches
you can
that,
design the room that you're in.
hmm
Yeah, you, you can design the room you're in, your clothes you're wearing, and all that stuff. Well, what same technology, but what NVIDIA is doing is they're going down the path of, let's say the three of us got together, we wanted to make this thing, right? What NVIDIA is doing is they're allowing you to create the factory that builds this thing in virtual space and test it and run like down to as fine a detail as you want, and you test it and you run it, and once you get everything working to the efficiency that you think is accurate, then you
Like
go out and
virtual
build the
troubleshooting.
factory. Yeah, you go out and build the factory to the specs that you've created in the virtual world, including the machinery and the workstations, all that stuff, even to the point where once you get robots or robotic sort of manufacturing in place, you can run the same software that you did in your development and put it into your factory, and it actually works.
That's cool.
So that is to me, that's a useful, more efficient way to use that very same technology, rather than, you know, Zuckerberg's going on the social side of things, and I don't trust that guy for nothing. So I'm not interested. I'm
I
not.
mean,
I
makes
don't.
sense if it's
well,
coming from Facebook to be so cool.
Yeah, no, exactly
Go
right.
back to
Yeah,
yeah,
yours.
it sure does. But my point is, like, you know, and this is what Andrew and I's discussion was about yesterday. You got to choose your battles, and there's only so much that you can do. And our
right.
discussion yesterday was about, in my viewpoint, I'm fighting back because I don't use Facebook, and I don't use Apple products, and I don't use Google. Um,
Mm.
and so his point was, well, that's not really fighting back, right? It's just a personal choice. So there's a line in there somewhere. And it was a good discussion. We talked about it, but I'm not willing. We see a guy every day when we're driving to work. He's standing out in front of the library and he's holding up a sign, and it says God hates LGBTQ plus. And so we laugh at him every time because, like, I'm not willing to be that guy,
No.
right? I will take my personal stance, and I'll decide where my money goes and my time and effort goes, but I'm not going to go hold up a sign
So
because
you're
I know
definitely not
it's
going
not
to
going
hold
to do any
that
good.
sign up. But so if you're going to hold up a sign,
Exactly.
it's like. And by the way, anybody listening, Doug does not hate LGBTQIA plus people at all.
That's
So
not my sign. Yeah, it's just
that's
we
not his.
laugh at
That's
that
not
guy
his
when we
sign.
drive by because we think, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an
No.
idiot, right? And so
Yeah. Who's he talking
yeah, so
to
anyway, my
anyway?
point is,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to hold up a sign saying, you know,
It's
Apple
not very
sucks,
constructive.
No.
or yeah, because it doesn't get you anywhere,
No.
right? I think I'm doing more by choosing to not participate than I would be if I was holding up a sign or protesting or gluing my hand to a piece of artwork in Europe or something, you know.
But that I think corporations, you know, and I just saying pretty much the same thing you're saying, is that the corporations count on your addiction and your apathy. That's what they count on. They expect you
Mm,
to continue to use the product because you love it, and the fact that you know you're not
mm.
going to do
And you
anything
can't do
because
without it.
yeah, I can't do without it. You're not going to do anything about it because to say anything is a pain in the ass, right? So I'm just going to deal with it. You know, I'll freaking
Mm,
just and you know, and not worry about it. But you know, and I was talking to one of my friends today at work, and we even brought this up, is that I'm not even too sure if my vote counts anymore. You know, I live in a world where I don't even know if voting matters
mm,
anymore because of all the influence that's coming
mm.
from different directions, and this Google Vision Apple, or excuse me, this
Yeah,
Apple Vision or
special
whatever.
interest, yeah.
Yeah, they basically can funnel whatever they want into your glasses and influence you however they want. The only thing you really have to even cast a vote is your dollar now. You know, where you can basically, like you were saying, I'm
Hmm.
not going to buy this. I'm not going to you know, and you know, and that kind of has that's kind of a two factor thing. One, they don't get your money, and two, you don't get exposed to their whatever you don't want to get exposed to. You know, so
Yes, yes.
yeah, but
Well, and the social media guys, you know, they want your eyeballs.
yeah,
They want your eyeballs to scroll the screen. That's what they
right,
really want. So that's what I'm denying them in my case.
mm,
And
right.
you know, again, I know I'm only one dude out of how many people are on Facebook? Like 80 billion or something,
Like
something ridiculous.
it's
But
brilliant, yeah.
I'm just one less, you know.
Well, and see and I was talking earlier about that line. I mean, I use I use Facebook to put our podcast out there, but I don't. That's pretty much all I ever
Mhm.
do. I put a picture of my dogs on there, and I'm on there maybe 10, 15 minutes every few days to do things. But there's people out there that like TikTok.
Mm.
Hey, Drew,
Mm.
do you use TikTok? Do you use it at all?
I do. I'm not. I'm not. Luckily, I don't really understand how or why, but I'm not one of those people that's addicted to real any type of social media. Like I'm on my phone a good amount, but I'm usually texting friends is more than
Right.
anything. But yeah, I use TikTok. I'm on there.
What do you think?
Um, yeah, it's a good one. You make a very good point about relying on apathy
Yeah.
because I know it's Chinese spyware. I just don't
Right.
give a shit because the videos are funny,
There you go. Yeah. And of course, there's a lot
and
of
it's just like they already have all my fucking information anyway from the
right.
other million websites that I've signed up to in my life. So it's like
Yeah.
again, like you said, you make the choice, and it's like yeah, I've already sold my soul to the devil when I was 13 and made my Facebook account. Like it's long gone. I'm done. I'm done for.
Yeah.
So the
I,
only thing I
I
can do is limit my use.
Yep, I do the same thing. I feel the same way. I'm kind of like, what difference is it going to make to,
Mm.
again, we're talking about that, again, what being the friend I was talking to today, like how, you'll scroll through all those, those agreements, like when you're on a web page and it'll be like, 18 scrolls long and you just click it. You're just like, fuck it. And
Chat GPT, maybe copy and paste that in there and tell it to boil that down into a
there you
five
go.
sentence thing.
There you go. Did you ever see the South Park
That's the
where I think it
next
was
podcast.
Kyle?
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, where Kyle checked one of those and he agreed to be part of a human centipede. He's like, I just checked the agreement. No, you agreed.
South,
Google that.
South Park
If I can
is
look that up on YouTube, it is a mess. Anyway, it is a typical South Park episode. It's rough. Anyway,
funny, man.
well, that was a good conversation. Not funny, but good. So maybe a little funny. I don't know. So
Yeah.
any
Well, I mean, it's AI, so who knows, right?
Right,
yeah, but
we're in the first year.
yeah, we went down the rabbit hole through the mirror in the Matrix. It's coming. So
In the Black Mirror.
Yeah,
I've never watched. Was it pretty good, Black Mirror? True. Did you ever watch it, Doug?
you never watched any of them,
Never. So,
dude. All right,
Yeah, you
that's
should check it out, dude.
yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
is it okay? So, all right, maybe
Yeah.
that's on the list.
Yeah.
So,
It's sort of like I would have to say because you'll understand this, I think, and this is not a really direct comparison, but it's pretty close. But it's kind of like a modern day A Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
mhm,
Without the dramatic flair. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff that happens in there, but it's all based on technology. It's all based on the Black Mirror, right? Your phone.
mhm.
So it's pretty interesting stuff.
yeah. There's
Awesome.
some
Yeah,
the first episode. You just got to watch the first episode. It's hilarious.
and then you're hooked, huh?
Mm.
Cool. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
should
winding
be.
down here. We're way over our 20 minutes, but that was good. I enjoyed that. Any
All
last
right,
thoughts?
whatever. Yeah.
What's that? Shaking, Doug?
Yeah. No. No. That's usual for us going over.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, any last thoughts before we go into questions to 45 minutes? Anybody? Anybody? No. All right. So
No.
cool. We'll leave it there.
Spend your
Again,
dollars
everybody.
carefully. Don't
Yeah,
don't give it all away to AI.
don't give it all. Not yet, anyway. But maybe someday that'll be okay. All right.
Yes.
Have a
Yeah.
Yeah,
have a
sure.
great night, everybody. Everybody, take it easy. All right, time to do another outro. This is probably my least favorite part of doing podcasting, and you're probably like, why? Why, Tony? Why is this your least favorite part? Well, because I suck at it. I always screw it up. This is take 87 or something, and I'm about to lose my mind. With that said, let's just go and roll right into it. What do you need to know right now? Well, we're creeping up on podcast 60 if we're not already past that, and that's kind of crazy. So you're probably thinking, how did you pull that off? Well, Doug and I have known each other for 30 years. We'll probably still be hanging out 30 years from now, and if not longer, and we put up with each other's BS. So there's really no reason to stop. At least I don't think there is. We enjoy talking about culture, society, and entertainment, and especially through that weird retrospective perspective lens. And I'm kind of hoping you do too. And I'm guessing you do because you're listening to this right now. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe. Helps a ton. Liking, sharing, and subscribing on whatever platform you're on just basically gets our show out there. Other things you can do, if you have a show idea and you're probably thinking, I got an idea, but I bet money they wouldn't talk about it. Try me. Send me the idea. Drop it in the comments. Send me an email. Weirder the better. I do like a challenge. What else if you can do? If you want to be on the show, you want to be a guest, or you know somebody that might want to be a guest, you've got a story you want to tell, something you want to put out there, or maybe you just want to be part of this stupid conversation, by all means, let me know. I'll definitely reach out to you. Email's the best. Finally, I just want to say thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with us. We really, really do appreciate it. I definitely appreciate the fact that you're keeping that analog spectrum spirit alive, and I look forward to seeing you next time.